Hi, my name's Geoff Webb, National Account Manager for Mortgage Brain, and I'd like to welcome you to the inaugural 2021 Mortgage Vision Masterclass. In this masterclass, we're going to look at how we can identify opportunities to maximise value for customers whilst growing your revenue in an evolving marketplace. And we're also going to see how we can simplify the research process for complex criteria and those complex affordability calculations as well, demonstrating and justifying a chosen mortgage product with comprehensive research documentation. So if we think about those opportunities that are available to us now, more and more those low hanging fruit, the 75% purchase, remortgage, clean credit, sales straight through with no problems. How often do we get those cases? Not particularly often. And of course, there are certain online mortgage brokers now who are trying to mop that business up. So, increasingly we find that we're having to take on those more complex cases to be able to, service our current customers and new customers going forward. So, going to have a quick look now at the current process of how we might research those cases. So if we look at the traditional journey, we might get a case in, there might be 3 or 4 criteria that we need to fit to our case, and we'll go to several different lenders to find a lender that might do it. So to do that, we'll go to maybe 3, 4, 5 different lenders' websites. We'll try and call the BDMs. If we're really lucky, we might get through to an underwriter. But of course, as part of that process, we don't have any documentation to back up that research that we've done. And of course, it also takes time as well. So you imagine going to those lenders, waiting for people to call you back. That can really slow up the sales process. And of course, our customers also want to know pretty much straight away, don't they? They haven't got time for anything. They want to know pretty much straight away whether we can help them or not. And then not only whether we can help them, but as I say, from a compliance point of view, we also need to back up that research. Another complexity, which has obviously impacted everyone, is the affordability as well. And it's being able to identify the affordability of multiple lenders really quickly. So again, in the past, and not that long ago, we'd have had a very, very simple maybe 4.5 times single, 4.5 times joint, 5 times single, really, really easily to work out how much a client could borrow. But of course, then affordability calculators came in as those calculations got more and more complex. And so to work out the affordability of a mortgage, we might also go to 3, 4, 5 different lenders' websites, key in their information 3, 4, 5 different times, remembering as well how lenders treat different income, how they treat different expenditure. And then, of course, it's really difficult then to back up with documentation the research that we've done. So let's look at how we can simplify all of those processes for you and bring them all together in one journey and create that documentation and the information to support our compliance requirements, whilst also being able to speed up the goal of identifying a specific lender and product for our clients. So in the latest version of Mortgage Brain Sorting, we now have the ability to search for our criteria, add into that affordability calculation, and then find the products based on the criteria that we've put in and the affordability that we've put in. So how does all this work? So if I very quickly click on the Criteria Hub button within my product sourcing, this then launches me into the Criteria Hub platform, and I sign in using my Criteria Hub credentials. This is going to bring me into the multi-search area of Criteria Hub, which allows me to chain together up to 6 mortgage criteria. So the example I'm going to use here, I'm going to say that my property is in Scotland. I'm going to say that it's a timber frame property, and I'm going to say that it's also on an agricultural tie. Now, these are the cases that we might have got in previously and thought, there's no way I'm going to touch that in a million years, because it's going to take me forever to research that case. And yeah, it may well have done. So again, as we've mentioned earlier, you know, we ring up several lenders to try and tie together all three areas of the criteria that we're looking for. But now, just by putting those three criteria into here, I press my search button, and that's going to bring me back a list of those lenders that will accept the case, or potentially accept the case. And within each screen, I've got all the lenders that will do it, and then I've got all the various notes, the lenders, lending policy, etc., around the three criteria that I've put in there. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to send those criteria back into Mortgage Brain product sourcing, so that we've got the criteria that we're looking for to search against. As you can see, the filters that I've searched for in Criteria Hub have now been pulled through into product sourcing for me to use. And I can apply those filters like so. So I've now found my criteria. Now I need to look at my affordability. By pressing on the Affordability Hub button, that's going to launch me into the Affordability Hub platform, where I can search for affordability against 34 lenders by inputting one set of data. As you can see, quite a lot of information has been pulled through from product sourcing into Affordability Hub to minimize the amount of rekeying that I have to do. So the fields that I need to complete are clearly visible here. So I just very quickly start with adding a reference to my search, putting in my current mortgage balance, and a couple of other fields, which, as I say, they're listed at the top there for you to complete. So if I want to jump to the postcode, I can do. There we are. Pop that in there. And let's go down just a couple of other bits, which are some expenditure items. And once I've completed these last couple of fields, which, as you can see, takes just a few seconds to do, once I've completed them, I then will go on to the screen where I can select which lenders I'm going to be doing an affordability search against. In this instance, I'm going to select all the lenders. Even though I've narrowed them down by criteria, I'm going to select all just to demonstrate just how many lenders there are available for you to search against and how the results come back. Once all the affordability calculations are returned back into the platform, you can see there that it tells us how much we wanted to borrow and the maximum borrowing that each lender will give us based on the income and expenditure that we've input into the system. Once we have that, we can then, as we did before with Criteria Hub, we can then send those search results back into Mortgage Brain sourcing. As you can see, as with Criteria Hub, the results are now pulled back into Mortgage Brain product sourcing, and I can apply those results to my sourcing. So now when I source, the Affordability Hub and the Criteria Hub results will be shown against my product sourcing. And there you go. As you can see in the results, I've got my Affordability Hub result and I've got my Criteria Hub search result. So the main thing is we now will have the documentation to support our product recommendation. So if I click on the illustration button and produce an illustration, that will then bring back the documentation that we need. So here we have in our product selection report, you can see that we've got not just the product sourcing filters we've applied, but also the Criteria Hub filters. There they are. So there's our lending in Scotland, the timber frame, etc. And there we've also got our Affordability Hub results applied too. And on top of that, we have a Criteria Hub PDF, which not only shows us the lenders that will pass or fail the results, but they will also bring back all of the lender notes applicable. And on top of that, we also have an Affordability Hub PDF, which shows us the information that we've input as well as the results returned. So in this document, it will show us the maximum amount that the lender will lend to us, as well as the amount that we wanted. So to prove, once again, that it was affordable. So in today's session, we've identified opportunities to maximise the value for customers. And we've also shown how we can simplify that research process for those complex criteria and affordability calculations using Criteria Hub and Affordability Hub and that combined journey within product sourcing. And how then for our compliance file, we've demonstrated how we can justify our chosen mortgage product and bring back the comprehensive research documentation. So thank you very much for your time this morning. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have, but before I do, I'd like to ask you some questions. So if I could just ask you, on average, how many lender calculators would you visit during the advice process? And secondly, how often would you recommend a product from a non-top 10 lender?